welcome back to Dream Girl. I'm Sheen, your host, and today we're joined by none other than the very famous DJ Bliss. Hello, Marwan. How are you?
How's it going, Dr. Sheen?
I feel like you just found out about this.
I just saw your Instagram, and it was like Dr. Sheen. My wife's like, is it Dr. Sheen? I'm like, no, it's just Sheen, like the homie.
Yeah.
And then she's like, is this her? I'm like, yes. She's like, Dr. Sheen? And then she's like, you got to ask her why she's a doctor. And I'm like, it's her podcast. She's got the questions, but at some point, I mean, I didn't mean to start the podcast off with my question.
He's just taking over.
Answer whenever you want.
I mean, I can tell you, I actually have a PhD.
Nice.
So I'm not a medical doctor, but I do have a medical PhD. So I study the spine. So I have a PhD in trying to understand where back pain comes from.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I was at physiotherapy today. If I knew I could have done this podcast in the morning, could have knocked two birds with one.
Exactly. Why are you going to a physiotherapist for? But, you know, I'll tell you something which I used to work with an orthopedic surgeon, and he always said this. 8 out of 10 adults have back pain, and the 2 others are lying.
Really? It's a real thing?
Yeah, apparently everybody has it. We have bad posture, right?
Yeah. And is it getting worse as...
Yeah, and now it's coming up. So originally people had lower back pain.
Yeah.
Now it's getting like upper back pain because we're hunched over our phone or our laptop. So
I've got both. I'm not gonna lie. It's like my neck and my
Everything's
lower
wrong.
back.
Do you have a good-
Because I like playing sports, so that's lower back.
Yep.
And then like day-to-day activities and posture, like you said, is the upper back. But I'm trying to maintain it.
right, so let's just
So
go
yeah.
straight, right?
So what is the secret to the spine? Why did you choose the spine out of all of the whole body? You went for spine.
For the spine, honestly, it was the project that was available. But no, I'm really interested in the spine. Honestly, it's because the spine controls the rest of your body. So whenever something goes wrong there, that's where you have everything else is linked to it.
Wow.
So it's pretty central, and you have the nervous system that's linked to it. So I
And
thought,
the chakras, to a certain degree, they're all based on spine as well.
see?
A lot of the meditation stuff you do, like, ask you to lift your spine up, like, just for
Exactly.
energy flow. Interesting, Sheen. That's pretty interesting. Have you ever, like, gone into, like, the details of the connection between, like, your physical body and your, like, your spirit or your soul?
No, you tell me about this. This is why you're here.
I'm not the one who has doctor next to my name. It says DJ Bliss. You have music.
Same, you have D in common.
Music questions. I'm your Shazam. But when I have a medical question about my spine, Sheen, take it away.
So tell us, how did you get into DJing?
Well, like if I really go back in time, I would take it like in my school days, my brother had just learned how to play the guitar. And so when he came back, he went to the States, came back, he learned a couple of songs. So that's where we started. It was the guitar, the drums. I was actually in a band way before DJing. And then somewhere like towards the last 2 years of my high school, I got super interested in music. And this was like, you know, the era we didn't have like vinyl and there wasn't like music available everywhere. You know, we had these things called CDs, millennials, Gen Zers. Like I literally like we've jumped generations so quick. Like there's literally people out there who like if you showed them a CD, they're like, what is this? Or even a vinyl for that matter. So in those days, we were like, you know, I was just collecting music. I was doing my high school radio station, like in my breaks. Instead of going on break, I'd do my radio and play like some music and talk a little bit. The interest came in like presenting. And then somewhere along the line, I realized I'm not getting invited to all these parties that all the cool kids are getting invited to. So I was like, how do I get invited to these parties? I said, well, if I was a DJ, then, you know, I would have to be there. And that's how it kind of started. You know, left school, got my first gig at a water park. It was called Wonderland here in Dubai for anyone who's like been around for a long time. And that summer, they had like professional equipment. So instead of doing the job I was supposed to do, which was to entertain the guests and play music and talk, I was busy learning how to mix music on professional equipment, and I got fired from that job. Yeah. And but you know, I didn't stop. I loved DJing. I was collecting more and more music. When I went to university, at the same time, I got a club gig as well. And I actually, when I got that club gig, I wasn't even 21 yet, and I couldn't stay in the club. So I could only go in. I had a license to DJ.
Yeah.
But because I was underage, I couldn't even stay in the club. So I'd have to go to the DJ booth, DJ, and then I'd have to leave like whenever I was done.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that was the early parts of it, but you know, simultaneously I got into radio a little bit as well, years later into TV. So, but I always tell everyone my first and true love is really like DJing.
You know, actually, I accidentally stumbled onto a YouTube video of you interviewing Sonam Kapo.
Yeah.
What was that?
I used to That's the first time anybody has asked me about
I was
that.
like, what is that?
So I used to host a TV show on Dubai One TV over here. It was called. It was my third show. I used to do a show called Emirati, which was like a traditional cultural show about the UAE, and I was presenting it in English. And then I did a show called 20 Something, and then my last show was called That's Entertainment, and it was an entertainment news show. We used to interview a lot of celebrities, artists, guests, musicians who used to come to Dubai, or we used to travel to like do red carpets in LA. So that was part of like my TV era. I don't know how you found that.
It came up. Literally, I think I typed DJ Bliss interview.
Yeah.
And that was the first one that came up.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
My YouTube channel throws people off because
really
they're
does.
like, "What? Are we going to interview him or is he going to interview
Yeah.
us?" I used to have a lot of content on there. I've done like a whole bunch of vlogs as well. So there was an era where I was like, no, I love Casey Neistat, and it was that era of like
We've
vlogging.
all been through that.
All of us.
Yeah.
But I went in, if you actually go into my YouTube channel, there's like 2-3 years of like loads of vlog content. Then my music is on there. Then my interviews are on there. My performances. So yeah, I always say it's a Gemini thing. Maybe you can relate. I say it's like a jack of all trades. And then they say
Master of none.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to change that now. I'm trying to focus a little bit my energy back. I feel like I always wanted to try new things. I wasn't afraid of failure, whether it was trying music, radio, DJ, TV, vlogs, or any of those things. And I think those things made me who I am today. And I continue to do that because it lights my fire. It keeps me going. And why not? Coming to where we are today kind of brings us back to the same first question that you asked me. How did you get into DJing? That was a story. And now I'm really thinking like, it's where I started, and if I wanted to like really like finish off and do something like, where my passion and my true love really lies, it's DJing. So full circle back, DJing, tours, music, and everything else that I'm doing, whether it's TV or shows or anything like that, has to somehow be related to the music always.
No, I love that. You're right. It's a Gemini thing because we build these like portfolio careers where we try a lot of different things.
Yeah.
I'm the same, right? I have a PhD in spinal research. Look at what I do.
Yeah.
So
why not?
We just try different things.
Yeah.
And I think you learn something about yourself or a new skill from each of them that then contribute to who you are now.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
And yeah, so I'm glad.
It's like, sorry to interrupt, but it's like high school, right? When we went to high school and we were learning all these subjects, chemistry, biology, physics, economics, and all these other things, trigonometry, and like you always thought, when am I going to use this? But it's not only about when you're going to use it. They're teaching you, the discipline of learning and studying and being aware of all these different things so that it sets you up for life. And I feel like life's experiences are exactly the same thing. The more you do, the more you are able to, kind of fit into any situation in life.
Yeah, and I think I love what you talked about that. Now you back yourself, even if there's a new challenge, whenever you want to try something new, you've done it so many times now that it's a lot easier to do it. Because my next question was going to be this, because you've had so many interesting pivots in your career where you've tried different things, and obviously now you're on reality TV even, which is probably one of the most ballsy things to do, but, which we will get into.
Let's talk about it.
Which we'll get into.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you talked about how it's just about believing in yourself because you've done it, you have the track record, so you know that it is easy to just keep going.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the reality TV. How did you decide that this was something you wanted to try?
Well, it's something I always had an interest in. I used to watch like I don't watch the regular reality shows like Keeping Up with the Kardashians or the stuff that people watch. But I always like had an interest. I was watching reality TV, and I liked the concept of the fact that it was real. And you're watching people's lives, and to a certain degree, the stuff that I was watching, I knew it wasn't 100% real, but it was realer than a TV show, a movie, or like an Arabic serial, which is like heavily acted. And I got the call. I got an email once, and throughout my career, I've either tried to write my own reality TV show. I've had it on my vision board. I've put it in my notes. I've pitched my own reality TV show. been approached by people who have interviewed me for reality TV shows. So I thought it was just another one of those emails. They contacted me. It was from a random email from a production company. I was like, yeah, whatever.
Sure.
Like, I just like, and then they contacted me again. I took the meeting, and when the opportunity came, I was like, wow, this is a big deal. It was, they eventually told me it was for Netflix, and I didn't believe it still. I'm like, until I see a Netflix logo, until I hear,
I can click it, yeah.
Until I see that red N and I don't believe it. But eventually it came in, the stuff, the Netflix team got involved as well. And I took it because it was an opportunity for me to, gain more popularity around the world. I feel like I did everything I needed to do in Dubai, in the Middle East, in the era, or not in the era, in the field of radio, TV, and DJing over here. I was touring already, traveling. I was releasing music. I thought, this could be a great opportunity with a platform like Netflix. People get to know who I am. And for me, I always wanted to, be exported as a DJ because I grew up in the era where we were just importing DJs all the time. Like we have DJs flying in Dubai and the UAE. They're flying DJs in every week.
Yeah.
Artist, DJ. And I was interviewing them. And one day I said, I want to be the person who sits across the table from the radio presenter and gets interviewed. And I want to travel and tour and go around the world on radio stations over there and be interviewed and tell people about the fact that we have talent in the UAE, wave the flag for the UAE, and also inspire the youth and the next generation of people who live over here and want to achieve success. So that was really the reasoning behind it.
Now that you're on it, when you were in school, you were a young boy and you wanted to become a DJ. At that time, I'm sure there was no one for you to look up to who was, the same background as you, like Emirati or even Arab, who was a famous DJ, right?
No.
But then now you've become that for the next generation. So what inspired you then at that time to think that it is possible for me also to do this?
Well, I mean, I was very persistent with, what I wanted to do. And you're absolutely right. When I got on radio at the time, there was not even like an Arab on the radio, let alone like an Emirati. And I did all the work. I went late nights, did mixed shows, hung out, took meetings, kept trying and, had a lot of doors shut for me. But, I tried the best that I can. And there wasn't really much inspiration. I mean, like I said, there were some DJs who were around who I was paying attention to as far as what they were doing as a DJ.
Yeah.
With the radio, no, I was like self-taught. I used to listen to a lot of radio stations. Back in the days, we used to have Dubai 92 play like these syndicated shows from America. There used to be Casey Kasem and Rick Dees in the weekly Top 40. And I always used to remember whenever we used to go to picnics or parks on the way back to Dubai, like if we'd go to Sharjah or Fujairah for like an hour drive back, they always had these radio stations playing, and I always used to be in the back of the car just listening to these guys. And they used to have this part, it was like a dedication part where you'd write a letter in or, or email. And it was so deep and emotional. And when they used to read it, like I used to really feel it. And then I started trying to copy them, and I used to pay attention to how they used to talk over the song in radio, like you talk over the beginning of the song as soon as they start singing.
Pause the song,
So I was just practicing at home that when I went and did my first radio demo, like they were super impressed. Like I got the job right away. So it wasn't really much inspiration as far as for me to name somebody, but I was gathering inspiration where I could. So if I had to listen to a radio show, I would. There was a DJ who was like the number one DJ. I used to hang out with him to see what he would do. Trying to put myself in a situation where I can always be learning. And to break the second part of your question, to break sort of the stereotype about what I was doing at that time. For me, the most important people was my mom and dad. So I'm like, if they're happy with what I'm doing, then, I'm fine with it. And I always kept that in mind, that it was very important to me that even though I was a DJ in the clubs, in that environment, traveling, touring, where I can do the best to keep my mom and dad proud. And I assume keeping them proud would mean keeping the whole culture proud about what I was doing. So it was important to me, and it helped me go this far. I think if I chose a different route, it probably would have been a lot more difficult.
So that means that you had very supportive parents from day one.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't always want me to do that. They were, at the time, my siblings were on multinational companies. One of them was working for marketing for a university, another one in the financial market. The other two, like, big multinational FMCG companies. So they were like, why don't you try something else out? And I did. I went and tried another job out for 6 months. And while I was there, I just collected money and researched more and started my own events after 6 months. And I started my parties back then.
But in terms of, the culture, there was no pushback for you to become a DJ?
I mean, it's been a bumpy road always. But I was very persistent about, what I wanted to do moving forward. And sometimes, there were fights, and sometimes there were struggles, doors shut. And it happens, even till today, it still goes on. Yeah, absolutely. So, a lot of things I talk about on Dubai Bling, for example, is just going over there and just being as honest as I can on screen. It's not always the case for everyone. That's where I really found it hard, but it's going on in real life. And before, when I used to talk about it, when they call it beef or haters and all that, it used to backfire in my face, because you think even though you are right, the way you communicate a problem to the masses is very important, because they don't know the entire story. They don't know how I feel for the last 15 years about, an individual, a company, or anything for that matter. And they don't know what I've been through and all my struggles to be where I am today. So when they start dangling stuff in front of your face to get at you,
a reaction,
and then people say, ignore them, they're just hating, they're just haters, or beef or whatever. It's just sad, because you don't know what I had to go through to get to where I am today. And, to get that kind of energy back till today is a little crazy, but I like to think that I'm a different person today, and I like to approach things differently. And I realize that just because you're right, just because someone's done you dirty, it doesn't mean that you can, say your story, especially today in the social media era, where I can literally get on my phone right now after this and be like, yo, XYZ, and then it just starts rumors. But it doesn't always end the right way. So I've learned to have to take a very different approach to, the opposition. You just have to find different ways to do it. There's going to be closed doors for you in life always. I feel like it's, one of those games, you show up to this floor and there's like 10 doors.
Yeah.
9 of them might be closed, but I can guarantee you that if you keep trying, one of them will be open.
Right? Or just find a window at this point.
Or, yeah.
Try and get in.
That's me. That's me. That's the Gemini energy.
Exactly.
Let's go, Sheen.
Always. And, I like what you said, but also, they always say that you can't control what happens to you, but you can control your reaction.
Yeah.
And as you said, a lot of times people don't see what happened, what caused, what triggered this reaction from you, but they will just see the reaction. So that's why you need to be very in control of how you react to things. But I like how you talk about, your struggles, and from the few times we've spoken, I can tell that you're a very emotionally intelligent man.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
How did that come about, Marwan? It's very rare to come across men in our age, who are with our cultural background and stuff, who are so in touch with themselves and their emotions. How did you become that?
I've been through it all, Sheen. Really. Like, I've been through so many situations in life, and not all of them have been pleasant, and just start to be really honest with myself, and, kind of like broke away from the norm of what's going on today, where we feel the need to put our phone and stories on and be like, yo, look what I'm doing, where I'm going now, and look at this cake, and look at this building, and look at this city, and just stop for a second and really just kind of get in touch with yourself and check in with yourself and be like, yo, how are you really doing? Because you could be, I'm not saying that everyone is miserable, but if you stop for a second and kind of deal with what's going on the inside early, bit by bit, it will save it from getting to a point where you've just blown so much into a balloon or pushed so much under the carpet that now you got to call the cleaners. You can't use your vacuum anymore.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely played a role. My journey towards spirituality got a lot stronger. As you get older, you just start to understand a lot of things. And like I said, the fact that I told you, the jack of all trades taught me a lot of things about life. And that's why I don't like the line, the jack of all trades and the master of none, because I really believe the jack of all trades makes you the master of your own life.
But you know that's not the end of that sentence, by the way.
What is the
rest? It keeps
rest?
going to, it's actually, I'd forget the rest, but it actually feeds into the fact that it's better to be a jack of all trade.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And I feel like it teaches you, you become the master of your life because you have exercised every thought, every passion, every avenue. You've gone down every road and kind of like fulfilling your own destiny. And when you do that, you become the master of your own life. Now I know I don't like this city and I love this city. Now I know that I like this food and I don't like this food. And so many of those things. And it's not only just about spirituality or, time. It's just a sense of understanding. And when you just sit down and just be super honest with yourself about so many things, it's so much better. And I've had to learn, the hard way and the long way. But I really think just time. I think time heals all. Time gives you all the answers. And it just gives you like a lot more clarity. And we're always in a rush to get things done. We live in the era now. Everything is like short form content and hey, smiling, face app.
Yep. Short-term gratification.
Let's go. Yeah.
I know, you're right. But it's crazy because also I've realized that a lot of people are constantly in sensory overload. We're always listening to something, talking to people, watching something, just to avoid listening what's actually going on inside.
Absolutely, yeah. I was saying today to myself, I'm like, where is time going? It is really just passing by so fast.
It's July already.
Yeah.
Where did this year go?
I have no idea, but I'm waiting for us to say that about the summer because the summer is... Please go.
So hot. I've been here for 3 years now. It's my third summer.
Yeah.
And every year I forget how hot it gets.
Shane, let me just put this into perspective for you. I was born here. I've been here all my life. And every summer I look at someone and I say, was it this hot last year? Every single year. I'm like, it's impossible.
So
2 days ago, I was DJing outside. I was like...
Outside?
Outside, by the pool. I mean, look, I had a fan and...
Still.
It's...
The humidity.
Yeah. Was it this hot last year? Was it? Was it? Shane, was it?
I mean, I don't remember clearly.
Yeah.
So I think we just forget. Our body's just like, forget it.
They say you climatize to it. I'm like, it's impossible.
It's false.
No.
Right? I think by the time we're climatized to it, it's winter.
Yeah.
So then our body's like, we're not used to this heat.
And then you walk into Dubai Mall, your body's like, get out of here. You're not climatized. It's like, everyone go home. It's done.
Just everyone go home. But Dubai is amazing. So I've been here 3 years now.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. But you must have seen a change, right? Given that you grew up here and also you had a life as a kid, as a teenager, now as an adult, as a celebrity. How did you see it change over time?
Man, I've seen it all. And I really sometimes, kind of goes back to what we were saying last. I just want some time to sit back and really just take it all in because it's happening so fast. I don't think they build buildings and cities and infrastructure anywhere as fast as Dubai does, like from what I see. And that's happening right before my eyes, which should take even longer. And yeah, I mean, I remember days where I used to like do things as a kid at places which don't exist anymore. I remember like seeing changes of places that I didn't like, which I love now. I'm so grateful for the fact that, the rulers were able to transform this place so quick for us to see ourselves, like even for my parents, like it blows my mind. Like my dad tells me stories about back in the days when there was like 1 or 2 sand roads to go to Abu Dhabi.
What?
That's my dad.
That's not even that far
That's
ago.
not my grandpa. That's my dad. Like he remembers days where they were living and there was no AC everywhere. So they'd have to like take these like bed sheets, make it wet, and then like take all the water out of it, cover themselves, and put on the fan to cool them off.
Oh my goodness.
And they used to like sleep on the roof, like like so. A lot of those things I'm talking about. Like, that's my dad's stories to me. So for a city or a country to transform that quickly in an era where transformation is so quick, the internet, It's crazy. You know, I used to go to my dad's office and help him send fax, like through a fax machine. Like, it's crazy.
A lot of this generation won't even know what a fax is.
No idea. No idea.
You know, I watched this thing on Instagram where I'm sure you haven't used Word in a while, but you know when you click save on a Microsoft Word, it's a little floppy disk.
Yeah.
Right? And this generation, they were like, do you know what that is? They were like, no, is it a box?
No idea.
They have no idea what the floppy disk is. I used to use it. Obviously, I come from Africa, so I used to use it still in school. But it's
Use the big ones or the small hard ones?
You know the small square
with
one?
the
With the
silver
metallic
thing
thing
always used to break and... They were the worst. I've lost so many files.
Same, and it can barely hold anything on it, right? But now we've moved to a new world of storage.
So just look at what we used to experience and what we're experiencing now.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But going back to, well, we love to talk about the Dubai Bling experience. Okay, so tell us a little bit, what is that like, being on reality TV? Do you forget that the camera is there? Like, how is it?
I mean, it's a pretty crazy experience if I really like go into it and think about what you just said, right? So we're sitting over here, cameras are rolling. At the beginning, you're like, yeah, these cameras are here. And then slowly they disappear. And we sit down and we talk for so long that we're part of a conversation now. So it's not like we're sitting here worrying about, what our hair looks like, what my hat looks like, or what I look like on the screen. And you just take it away, and story leads to another story. You're with a group of people who, most of whom we've never known before. It's not Big Brother, so we're not all in the same house, but we're kind of in the same circle or house. And you're just sitting over there trying to figure out who's your friend, who's not your friend, who's stabbing you in the back, who's who's there for you. And it's like a game of Survivor almost. And you're watching a lot of change. When those cameras come on, things change, people change. And I didn't know what I was expecting when I got into it. I was really just going out there trying to be myself as much as possible and try to build awareness for myself as a DJ. I wanted the world to know who the Emirati DJ Bliss was. But when you're on a reality TV show, you have to be involved in the stories,
obviously.
So whether you like to be a part of it or not, sometimes you get dragged into it, sometimes you're just there for support, sometimes it's your story and your problem and your solution to fix. And I mean, it was quite an experience. We filmed 3 seasons. The 3rd season's on the way.
When does it come out?
So I don't know the exact date, but I think it should be somewhere October, November.
Oh, so this year?
Yeah, this year.
Oh, amazing.
So we've already filmed it. It's done. And it's gonna be quite an interesting one.
Is it all guns blazing?
Why would you say that, Sheen?
I don't know. Just thinking.
Yeah.
But for you also went on the show with your wife, Dania. So, hello, Dania. How was that decision? Like, was it harder for you to be on there as a couple as opposed to just you being on there?
Well, initially when they spoke to me, they were asking about family and spouses, and they met Dania, and they're like, we want her to come on. So when she came on as like my +1, like just as my wife. And then she came on, she kind of developed her own story and became main cast pretty quick. It wasn't so hard at the beginning. It got harder as we went along, just because first of all, the schedules for filming is insane.
Hectic.
Yeah, and especially for the girls. Like, they have hair and makeup and outfits and locations, and when we shoot, it takes a lot of time. So there was a schedule. The schedule was difficult. Then we're on camera together as well. We're trying to be as real as possible, but also there's a lot of stuff going on around us which can influence our relationship. So you really have to be thick-skinned. It's not as easy as you think. And we're the first people who've done it, you know? I was talking to Dania about this the other day. I'm like, I know it's like tough and we sit here and talk about, but it's crazy. Like, people around the world have watched us. And also we're going to be remembered like the first ever like Emirati couple or people on a Netflix reality TV show was us. there wasn't someone before us for us to go to and ask for advice
Exactly.
and to guide us in the right way and tell us what we're doing when it came to contracts and how to act. It came, some of it came along the way as we met people in the industry, and I've made some great friends along the way as well. But there wasn't anyone. And there wasn't anyone talking about it from here either. There wasn't a podcast of a person who was on a reality TV show from Dubai, an Emirati guy who was, giving advice. So it was difficult. And, I hope to take the whole experience and what it was, be super grateful for the opportunity that it presented to me and be able to really speak my truth and be honest and inspire people, give people answers, and let people also more into me and who I am, because I always say the reality show is not my show.
Yeah.
It's a reality show. It's Dubai Bling. It's not DJ Bliss. I'm just a very small part of it. And every cast member is a small part of it. And then there is a main story as well, which we're all a part of. But that doesn't necessarily make it my story.
Yeah.
So, I hope that people get to watch these kind of podcasts, because this is where I feel more myself and more authentic, and we get to speak in lengths, and you've dived deep into what I've done, and you have a curiosity of why I am here today, or why I would be the person you would have chosen to sit in front of you. So for that reason, I feel like what we talk about over here is something very important for people to hear, aside from
What they see.
what they see.
Yeah. No.
When you hear "Ta-ting."
But honestly, the first time I met you, I remember thinking, wow, very different to what I thought based on me watching Dubai Bling.
Yeah, I've always got that in my life. You know
Right.
that? Yeah, always. I mean, I think you're probably attributing it a lot to the person I've become today, which is very different from who I was a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 or 4. But throughout my career, Sheen, people have always, whenever I've met someone, they said, wow, didn't expect that. I'm like, what did you expect? You're actually a nice guy.
Yeah. You're actually nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, but you know what they say, right? It's always the best of friends are the ones who thought that they were bitches when they met the first time.
Wow. One more time? This is a good one.
So people who become best of friends eventually, the first time they meet, they each think that the other person is a bitch.
Really?
Yeah. Because the first impression is it means that both of you were kind of like on high alert or something. Yeah. So.
Wow, what do I say? Is this only for girls, or is this just a general rule for?
I think it's for everybody.
Yeah?
I think it's just people who you assume is going to be mean.
Yeah.
It's because you also come across as someone who's mean.
Yeah.
Usually, but then that just means it's a bit of like a hard exterior.
Yeah.
And then once that goes away, both people bond really nicely. Yeah.
I think it boils down to just being true and authentic, your true authentic self, and then just like attracting people like
The
that
same
around
energy.
you. And
Yeah.
it's not only like in friendship as well, even at work. Like I've really felt like I've had a lot of people who have worked with me for a long time and short periods of time also. It's come to a point where you start thinking you want to be. I always tell the guys who work for me this story. I'm like, they must be sick of it. Do you know the big boats with like, there's like 20 people on there rowing, right?
Yeah.
So if you're on this boat and only half, or even out of the 20, 18, or even one person stops rowing on this side, the boat's gonna go one way. 2 people stop, you're carrying dead weight. So I always tell them this story because it's so true. Like, we're a team, and if everyone's not on board doing their part, we're just carrying dead weights.
You go nowhere.
We go nowhere. Or if one person stops, it can take us somewhere where we're not supposed to go. Or even football, for that matter, right? There's 11 people on that field. There's a reason why they have the red card thing. You take someone off the other team, that's 11 versus 10. Like, how are you going to go take over the world when you're in that kind of situation? So I really think it comes down to just everything in life. Like, you wanna feel good, and you wanna have people around you who make you feel like bring out your power rather than slow you down or stop you.
So, fun fact, I used to row at university.
On one of those boats?
Yeah.
You're kidding.
So I was a rower.
Of course. Geminis.
Geminis, right?
The jack of all trades.
But you know what's funny? Because the boat is just like loads of tall people who row. There's 8 of us.
Yeah.
And then in front of you, you have it's called the cox. So she's facing you, and she's usually a very small person because she needs to fit into this
Awkward.
little
They
nook.
could have found a better name than that, no?
It's COX.
Okay. Thank God.
Goodness gracious.
Like they could have done better.
Yeah,
Let's not get. That's a whole separate podcast
That's a
about
different
why things are
conversation.
spelled a certain way.
and-
What? We'll come back to Cox later.
We will. And she's facing the rest of the team. So she doesn't see the direction where everyone is going, but she's the one directing them. So that's because she believes in the team and she can see the team and she can see who's coming behind them.
Wow.
So it's always about how the leader should be focused on the team rather than the direction. The team is the one that's going to take you there.
So important.
So I love that as well. We
Yeah.
we were always told to just listen to whatever she's saying. Don't even dare to look behind her. She tells you what to do.
And how does she know where to go if you don't need to know which
So
way?
direction is straight, right?
Always,
you just
right?
go to the bend of the river. So she's not telling you direction. She's saying you need to do more. You need to do more. Go this way. Go this way.
How many people on the boat?
8.
8 people.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so dope.
Yeah.
That's so dope.
It's really nice. So yeah, great analogy.
Yeah, and that's
Love
why I was
that.
like, why is Sheen really getting this? You're like,
Yes. Yeah. And
you're like,
exactly. And when you have a dead weight on there, you're like, I just want to throw her into the river right now. But yeah, no, that's great. Okay. Now another question. So obviously you're a father, you're a husband, you're a DJ, you're on TV, you have all of these businesses around. How do you manage your time?
oh man, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. Luckily, I don't have to go to work for a period of
Yeah.
the day. Like I don't have a 9 to 5, and for that reason, I'm able to be more flexible with everyone. It's also that I'm working 24 hours a day, but again, I'm not trying to produce more work right now. I'm trying to reduce.
Yes.
I'm trying to produce more music, reduce the workload. Just putting a good team in place helps with work. You got to have a cleanup. You got to sit down and just be honest with yourself and be like, yo, what's going on? If I have to be there every day to tell you how to fix the door, the wall, the carpet, the antenna, the wires, then there's no point in having you guys over here.
Yeah.
So started working on having a great team to help with work, allow me to focus on my music and, spend the rest of the time with the family. That's what I'm really trying to do because you can't, it was difficult, I used to get asked this question a lot and I used to say, yeah, I'm doing it. It's tough. But there's only a certain amount of hours in the day. You could fill it, but you're not going to go far. So you're better off just prioritizing and figuring that part of it out. And it works. I can drop off and pick up the kids anytime I want. I might be tired after a gig the next day, but
It's what brings
worth
you
it.
joy, right?
Yeah. When you see them smiling, like it just, all the tiredness goes away.
Of course. And I guess one of the wrapping up question I have for you is, I liked how you talked about when you were new to this industry, there was no one else to look up to when you were joining the whole reality TV show. What advice do you have for anyone, not just like creative industry, but when you're entering a new world, even to me, right?
Yeah.
I would love to hear this, is that you meet a lot of people along the way.
Yeah.
A lot of people have opinions. A lot of people have advice for you. How do you filter through all of that noise to decide that you're going to trust this person and you're going to listen to the advice of this person?
Great question. You have to be resilient. You have to get through a lot to get to where you want. And you have to block out the noise. And, there was a saying which I heard once, which was beautiful. It's like, if you really want your dreams to come true, don't share it with anyone. So you have to keep it to yourself and, work towards it until you have achieved it. And it's not that everyone, means bad. It's not evil eye. It's not all of that stuff. Sometimes I can look at you right now and tell you about my biggest dream, but you might not completely understand it, and the little confusion in your eyes might stop me. I mean, it could be something like a song, right? I think this song is the best song, Sheen, and I played for you. You're like, yeah, I would just change a little bit of that instrument over there. That could really change my whole 100% feeling of a hit song, which I've been manifesting and like dreaming about for the last weeks, years, so on and so forth. So because of that, it's a lot better just keep it to yourself and just do it. And you have to fight. It's not easy. Nothing comes easy in life. Nothing gets handed over to you. Luck, you can sit down and hope for luck, but that's not how it's been happening for majority of the successful people around the world. I mean, if you go research their stories, if you read about them, if you listen to their podcasts or anything like that, rarely was it this person hit the jackpot. you know, they've put in their work. They came up with great ideas. They had to go to lengths to really exercise their ability to take this to the next level. There's a million people who have made clothing brands. Not all of them are, I don't know, H&M or, you know, one of I'm trying not to name brands.
I could tell you like, not that one, not that one, not that one.
I'm like, yeah. But, you know, not all of them became that. Not all of them became the best fast food company. Not all of them became the international microphone brand. There's a story behind all of them, and it's trial and error. It's your resilience. You got to keep going. You know, on my vlogs, I always say be persistent and consistent and show up. 99% of people quit like right before the idea is about to pop off and be the biggest thing ever. And that's why 1% people, or, you know, the whole thing about the 5% or the 1% is because those are the people who kept going and going through.
Okay, and what's next now for DJ Bliss?
A lot more music.
Yeah.
You know, I can't wait to play you some of my music. So aside from just like my own inner transformation as an individual, as a person, I'm also like transforming my music as well. Like I've leaned more towards dance music, just kind of traveling and seeing the energy of dance music. I feel like it just it unites people more. Being on a big stage was, you know, really like a life-changing experience for me. So yeah, this summer going back to Romania to do Untold Festival. It's like crazy. Like they just sent me the flyer the other day, and my name's on a flyer with Lenny Kravitz, Martin Garrix, Tiesto, like all these big names. I'm like, it's a little surreal for me. So, you know, it's happening. The things I've been manifesting and, you know, working towards to wave the flag for the UAE and around the world. It's happening, you know, and I'm super excited for everyone to hear my new music, including you.
Of course.
When it's ready.
And I think it's just the start for you, honestly. You're so talented. It's just going to get bigger and bigger.
Thank you so much.
So to leave the audience, what song would you recommend everybody to listen to?
Wow. It's a tough question.
Which one is so special to you?
I would honestly say it's probably one of my upcoming songs. And, you know, they're coming out in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
I love my old songs, and I really feel like, you know, it's part of what I used to do, and I'm so glad that I did it, but I really feel like, you know, what I'm doing next can really relate to people and what they're doing. But if you have to listen to a song right now, maybe you're in the car at the end of the podcast, you're driving somewhere and you see a karak spot and you want to get a karak, then I suggest you listen to I Need a Karak in the morning and I Need a Karak in the evening.
Perfect. I love that. Thank you so much.
It
was so nice to have you on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. And I love what you're doing.
Thank you.
I'm so glad I know that you're Dr. Sheen now.
Thank you. Please tell Dania now you know.
I will.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.